Welcome back to the Dear Katie podcast. This is Katie Koestner. I am the primary host of the Dear Katie podcast, and we are so delighted to have you take this journey with us on our weekly podcast episodes. I just want to remind everyone to do great self-care. Thriving is part of the purpose of this podcast, and we definitely want you to take a break at any time. Warm bath, fresh air, walk a dog, have a bite of chocolate, whatever you need to do good care for yourself. Just as a reintroduction, if you're not familiar with me, I am the woman who was on the cover of Time magazine at age 18 as the first in history to speak out nationally and publicly as the victim of date rape. And HBO made a film about me, and I went on to become the executive director of the Take Back the Night Foundation. We are the oldest, largest global movement on sexual violence in all forms for all people in the world. So we encourage you to visit our website for lots more information. So I'm going to turn it over to our host and our guest for today. Hi, everybody. This is Katie Koestner, and we are back on the Dear Katie podcast. As I always like to say, we are never alone in our healing journey, and the podcast is designed to support you in thinking through your trauma, your survivorship, your thrivership, in lots of different ways. And I have every confidence that our guest today is going to continue to not only expand your healing journey, but invite you into new ways of thinking about it. Her own experience, I think, will be one that many of you resonate with. And the way she turned it around will be one you are inspired by. So meet Svava Brooks. I will read a little bit about her, and then you will hear from Svava shortly. So originally from Iceland, Svava moved to America to go to university. She was keenly interested in hotel management and went to an international university now called Alliant in San Diego. While at university, she met her future husband and the father of her children. Despite her newfound happiness, Svava still had to make peace with her own childhood trauma of sexual abuse. And this began her lifelong process of not just knowing her own healing and going through it, but also helping others to heal. Svava has an array of techniques that help others, including inner child work, Reiki, and tension and trauma release exercise. Along with these efforts, Svava also does private life coaching and public speaking to nonprofits about child sexual abuse. She founded the organization Blat Ashram, and I'm sure I'll say that better once we hear Svava do it, to raise awareness of and to reduce childhood sexual abuse. And sometimes, people, you might hear the term CSA, which is child sexual abuse. So my goodness, Svava, you have done already so much. And I know that bio was just a smidge of what you've done with your life so far. But let's start with born in Iceland. We've never had a guest from Iceland on the podcast. So did you grow up with a mother, a father, siblings? What was it like? And was it rural? Was it urban? Tell us more about childhood for you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for that introduction. And thank you, Katie, for this opportunity to be with you and to share my story. And I have learned along the way. I started telling my story because I realized once I found my voice, I was helping way more people than not sharing it. And by doing it, I was owning my story and writing my own ending, which I'm still working on, but also giving other people words to maybe expressing things that they had struggled with finding words to. I'm, yes, like you said, born and raised in Iceland. And Iceland, I laugh because it's like the whole population here is like a small suburb in America, and a small city in America. I mean, that's how small this country is. The whole population is less than 400,000.
Wow.
Yeah,
I had no idea. I'm glad you explained that.
Yeah. So,
and just like for our American friends listening, is it the case there's like a more like dense city population and then lots of rural, or is it kind of all small towns?
It's probably 1/3 is in the big city, which is the big city holds about, right. Yeah. 1/3 of that population, and then the rest is spread along the coastline, because the middle of the island is where we have our glaciers and volcanoes. But there are some volcanoes along the coast right now. Actually, been fairly active recently, but I grew up in the city and just outside of the city, and born to a single mom, and actually my mom has her own trauma story related to my story.
Wow.
And so she gave birth to us. I say us because I'm a twin. There was 2 of us, so it was quite the shock for her as a young woman getting unplanned pregnancy, and caused quite a bit of scandal in the family. And her parents, especially her father, who was a very well-to-do businessman here in Iceland, did not respond well. And so she was forced to put us into, I don't want to say a foster home, but almost like an orphanage in a sense, near her house, where she was allowed to come feed us twice a day. And so in this place, my sister and I were placed for the first 7 months of our lives.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
That's a lot already.
Yes, exactly. Okay. Exactly. So when I started healing on myself, was healing from my trauma, I had to put all the pieces together and realize that obviously this wasn't just about my trauma, but and so many of us see in our lives that we have multi-generational trauma, and it didn't just start with us. Mm-hmm. But my mother was later allowed to bring us home. And when I am 2 years old, she met my stepfather. And so basically he was the perpetrator. And in that family home that I grew up with in my whole childhood, there was domestic violence, there was physical, emotional, and sexual abuse.
Oh my gosh. Just to be, I think you said twin, but it was a sister twin, identical twin?
Yes, a sister twin. Yeah.
But not your fraternal, not identical.
That's up for debate because we look a lot alike.
Okay.
So people say, oh, you must be identical. But I've since learned, my mom says there were 2 placentas, which is okay. Then you are 2 eggs, fraternal. But so if we go into the science of twins, it depends on when the egg splits, if you're identical or fraternal, because our kids, when they were babies, had a hard time identifying who was their mom. Mm-hmm. And so that's how, similar we were. So I have memories as young as 4 years old. And the overreaching feeling from my childhood was that I never went to bed feeling safe in that house.
Oh, gosh.
And so spent as many ways as possible staying out of that home. And so as soon as I could, I played all the sports. I spent more hours at the gym than I did at home. And if I was heading home after school or after soccer or handball practice and I saw my stepfather was home, I literally stayed out in the cold waiting for my mom to come home rather than go in.
Oh my goodness. Can I ask you another question? I know we can go back and forth on all of this, but what a brilliant a sad but necessary coping mechanism for you to avoid your perpetrator.
Yes.
But then I looped into, I never felt safe at night. And I worry that your brain's growing when you're a child. Mm-hmm. And I'm wondering if your brain got wired to a heightened state of alertness at night. And so is it, I don't even know. I'm just guessing. I'm not a medical doctor or a psychologist, but if I were thinking, I'd be like, maybe it's really hard for you to even rest.
Yeah, it was for many, many years. And I didn't understand it, that I literally like I said, I played all the sports. I was a straight A student. I had 3 jobs with college because I couldn't stop. I couldn't slow down. I just kept working and pushing myself until I collapsed. Because if I couldn't just lay down, oh, it's safe in my bed. You know what I mean? That never happened. So that was the only way to rest, was to collapse. So, and when I started healing starting on my healing journey, and I started understanding my coping mechanisms and the long-term impact, this hypervigilant state or this collapsed state that I had, developed to survive, how it was getting in the way of my healing and my relationships and mothering and really knowing who I was. Because I had identified all these personality traits to this is who I thought I was. Like I was a hard worker. I was a competitive athlete. Thank goodness for that, because I got a lot of support and praise and encouragement through my sports that I never got at home. So I was really grateful that I had that safe place to, get some of my needs met and safety that I didn't find at home. But
right.
it was very, very hard to understand why I did what I did. And as a child, I mean, I have memories where I'm literally floating in the ceiling because we do leave our bodies. And I didn't tell people for years because I was a little girl and I didn't understand what was happening. But I know, and I thought, oh my God, they'll lock me up if I tell them what's happening to me. But I understood when I started reading books about survivors and recovery that this is very common. I mean, this is also common if you have a car accident, and if it's painful or the impact is enough that people can have an out of body experience. I mean, that's really how our body and nervous system is so brilliant. It knows how to keep us safe and disconnected if the pain is so great. But this was a coping mechanism as a child. So it was quite a bit of work to come back home to my body and to learn to make peace with my body, befriend my body, and feel safe in my own skin. And yes, go to bed feeling safe. So that's actually one of the things that you will find me write about the most in my gratitude journal today, is that I love my safe bed.
And maybe we should fast forward, but the father of your children, whom you met in America, was he or is he American?
Yes, he is American. Yep. And when I came to the States, all, the West Coast, all so far, far away from Iceland, I think I literally just ran away. I needed to get away.
Hi, this is Katie Koestner, and I wanted to remind all of our listeners about the free National Sexual Assault Legal Hotline. We at Take Back the Night have assembled an incredible team of attorneys, trauma-informed, who truly believe survivors and want to support their journeys in healing and finding justice. The Get Justice Hotline is 567-SHATTER, or feel free to fill out a form on the Take Back the Night website, share your story, let the attorneys know what's going on, and they will get back to you as soon as possible with all of your legal options. That is a service we are delighted to provide through Take Back the Night.
And at that point, when I came to the States, I didn't think that I needed to deal with my past. I was like, no, it's in the past. I don't need to deal with it. And I mean, it's not like I had all the memories. It was like, I felt like I led this parallel life, but I was like, no, I'm fine. But once I started entering intimate relationships, that's when things really fell apart for me. And also when my flashbacks and my memories and my body really started acting out in ways that I couldn't deny. There was something happening. And actually at that college, my friends encouraged me. It's like, why don't you guys talk to someone? I had shared a little bit, just, I don't know, maybe, do you think this is maybe why I'm feeling, so bad? And I could see how people were reacting to what I was saying. And it was that reaction that I finally understood, oh, okay, so this maybe is a bigger deal than what I realized, or that it has had an impact on me that I just didn't see or realize because I really couldn't, because I just had to survive.
That makes a ton of sense. And do you remember some of the things that your college friends were saying to you that really helped you, think about everything differently?
Yeah, I think it was mainly, like I just said, I think it was mainly their reaction to what I was saying. That, oh yeah, my stepfather, he was abusive, he was violent. I never felt really safe. And then I would kind of follow that with, but people have it worse than I did, and I would minimize.
Oh.
I would minimize. It's like, but my
Mhm.
story isn't that bad. And I mean, it's over now. I don't know why it should be bothering me like it is. And it was their kind of gentle nudging and just like, okay, wow, I'm sorry that happened to you. Maybe you should talk to someone, just see if there's something that could be done to help you. And I was
Wow,
like,
that's so kind.
yeah, yeah. And also because I hid behind being perfect. I played sports. I was modeling. So I looked pretty good on the outside. I mean, I was in a dance, ballroom dancing group. And so I was really good at hiding it. But when specifically one friend, now since you asked, that
Yeah.
he could tell that I wasn't happy. Like there's something going on with you. And I literally like was floored that someone finally noticed that I wasn't okay, because for years, my whole childhood, my whole life,
Mm.
I was feeling horrible, but pasted a smile on my face and was a good little girl. Um, and just with that simple, someone asking, it's like, well, I can see there's something going on with you. And I'm like, really? You can tell? I was shocked. I was actually shocked. And I was shocked that someone cared enough to ask and inquire and to encourage me, because that had never happened before.
That was so lucky. And I think perfect, because then was your husband to be at the same school, and that's he would,
Yes.
was it
Yeah.
around? He wasn't the guy who said that, though, right?
No, it was actually through mutual friends
Okay.
that we met. And I still had one more year left of school when we met. Um, And by the time I met him, it's another long story. How many hours do we have?
Oh
Um,
goodness! Oh goodness! That's
but
okay.
basically, by the time we met, I had actually lost a partner to suicide, and he had a girlfriend who was hit by a drunk driver and died. So it was
Oh
like
my
in
goodness!
the span of like 6, 7 months, both of us had some really significant things happen in our lives, and we had, shared friends. And so I reached out to him when his girlfriend died, and I was just like, I'm so sorry. I'm here for you if you want to talk about it. I understand. And that kind of was what brought us together. And from there on, a year later, I was pregnant with my first.
Oh
And, um, and so we were together for 28 years. We're not together anymore, but we have 3 beautiful children. And I was grateful that I got pregnant this early in our relationship, because that was the glue, because we both came from very abusive homes, and we really, really, really wanted to work hard at both healing ourselves and support one another, which we did. I mean, he was there for me in ways that no one ever had. And it was because of him that I learned to trust men again. And so you know, it was beautiful. We had a lot of good things in this relationship, in this marriage, but it was also very, very hard because we both were triggered by our intimacy. And
Oh,
uh,
wow.
and having children together, having children, it can trigger you when
Mm-hmm.
you don't know how to parent or you weren't parented. So I signed up for parenting classes because I was like, how am I going to do this? This was hard. And, but it worked for a long time until it didn't.
I understand. But 28 years is a long time.
Yep.
So you stuck it out and got your three children all the way grown and out the door, basically.
Yes.
And you were in the US while you did this phase of your life?
Yes. And actually,
Okay.
in 2003, I had my son, and that was kind of the catalyst for and then I had been healing myself for 10 years. I had been in support groups. I'm a huge fan of support groups. If there wasn't one, then I created one. So I don't think I would have been here today if I hadn't found support groups for childhood sexual trauma survivors. And I sat in them for years. And that's how I found the language and the words and to talk about what had happened to me, because I literally thought something horrible was going to happen if I gave words to what I went through. But once I heard women around the circle express what I'd been through and shared their feelings, I slowly learned how to do that and needed that safe place to do so. So I was incredibly grateful for support groups, and that's why I've advocated for those. And like I said, I've run a handful of them myself. But 2003, I have my son, and I had decided to take a pause from my healing because I'd been at it for 10 years. I just wanted to raise my kids. Then I had 3 children. A year later, actually soon after David, my youngest, was born, I see Oprah Winfrey interviewing a survivor. And this survivor basically tells her story very openly about what happened to her. And I'm sitting there nursing my baby boy, and I'm just crying and I'm screaming at my husband, come see, come see. And I'm like, look at this, see, can you hear her? This is exactly what I know I should be doing. It's like she's giving me the permission. If she can talk about it openly like this, I know that I can, because I knew,
Wow.
yeah. And I knew that because I knew if someone had given me the words to talk about what had happened to me, I know I wouldn't have waited this long.
Okay, let's just first, oh my gosh, Saba, that was like a lot already. And I always kind of like to sit and sift through everything you said. And then, for our listeners' sake, they can also kind of digest because you gave us so much amazing pieces. So many, so many. Hi, everybody. It's Katie Koestner. Just a quick interruption. We want you to know that there is an entire shop full of cool merch on the Take Back the Night website to support your own healing journey, that of someone you care about. There are t-shirts, there's bracelets, there's glow-in-the-dark stuff. There's all kinds of unique special edition from our artist series as well. So please take a look. If it's a holiday or a special occasion or just a gift to yourself, support Take Back the Night through your purchase. So I just want to go back and reiterate a few of the things that I was just floored by. One is how you talked about I dug in on the outside of me was flawless. I'm an athlete. I'm a model. You did everything so no one could see your hurt inside. And I think that was one note. And then another one is your coping mechanisms throughout all of this are pretty darn intuitive and extraordinary. And then the third thing that just really came to mind is you found a male survivor to have these children with, and he and you were trying to struggle through your own healing journeys while parenting, while healing, while, trying to hold it all together. And that too is a hardship. And, I would say survivors are fortunate to find a compassionate person who might be willing to navigate that healing journey, but it's even harder when both of you are navigating it. And it's kind of to me, some of the things that come to mind. You mentioned the DUI and the suicide with the first boyfriend, with his girlfriend DUI situation, and then suicide. But you kind of think when you have two hurt people, like you and your ex-husband, navigating abuse and trying to raise a family and trying to keep it all together, it is so hard for both of you to hold each other up and help. It could easily go into very dark places really fast. And I'm really amazed that you did that for 28 years. That's commitment, and commitment through all that trauma. Just what are you thinking based on what I just said, Svava?
Well, thank you for that, because I receive it today, and I know how hard I've had to fight to get here, and this brings me tears to my eyes. But the truth is, just right here in front of me as I'm talking to you, I have a picture of myself, 6-year-old.
Your 6-year-old self?
Yes, she's on my always near my desk or on my nightstand.
I love that.
Because I promised her she was never going to ever think she was ever not good enough or not loved.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Wait, Svava, let's do that for all of our listeners for a second. Because, sometimes I do therapy and group stuff. And one of the things I love most is when someone says, picture your 6-year-old self and go back in time and give her a gift. Give her a plenitude of whatever you want now. And that's part of the healing, is my older self can go back to my younger self in a photograph like you have, and just give your younger self a gift.
Yep.
And so if I say the same thing, what you must be giving continual gifts to your younger self. How does that look for you?
So I look at her every day and tell her, hey, baby girl, I got you. It's like I promised. The healing journey, the inner child work that I did for so long, and what I was alluding to answering your question is that all this work was for her.
Oh,
it's like
beautiful.
I wanted her to know what love looked and felt like.
My goodness. That is I'm just floored. Svava, you're giving everyone such a gift right now. And a different way. We've not talked about this kind of way to do healing on the podcast. So you're the first, and we honor you. I honor you. I'm the darn host of the thing.
Thank you.
But my goodness, thank you. What else? What other mantras could you give our listeners that are helpful to you that you want to share?
Well, there are so many.
Yeah, just pick your favorites. What's your go-to?
Well, my go-to is that I do a lot of self-compassion practices because that's through that gentle warmth towards myself, my body, and I was able to heal that lack of attachment and lack of safety that I had as a little girl. So by being very intentional through the TRE, I'm a TRE provider today, somatic healing, is I work deeply with my body, and my body is how I'm able to help others. So I'm very conscientious about turning towards my body as if I'm meeting my very best friend. And the same way I really wanted my inner child, my little girl, to know, because I'm her mom. I'm her parent and the protector she needed. Today, I'm also, the 58-year-old that always puts this body first to take care of it through really, really gentle self-care with kindness and warmth. And so, because I also wanted this body to know that it's lovable, and it's beautiful and it's perfect in all its imperfections. And, softer belly after 3 children and, wrinkles on the face and all that. I don't think I've ever been more beautiful than I am today. And
oh my gosh. Like, let's just sit with that for a second. My gosh. I feel like, I just watched, I hate to say, like, I think, well, I just think I watched a show about it's honoring women over 50.
uh-huh.
And it's like the 100, or maybe it's 50 women over 50. And you should have been on that list, but no, but I'm just saying, like, I'm not 58, I'm 52. And I like don't even act my age half the time, but I also think you're ageless.
Mm-hmm.
And women need to learn how to like rock that.
Yes.
Like rock it like men. Like, hello,
Yes.
Bill Gates. Like, Bill doesn't have to worry about whether he has a wrinkle. He
Exactly.
has billions of dollars and can have all the wrinkles. Like,
Exactly.
where
Exactly.
he's not fighting his body.
Yeah.
And what most people in power don't realize is that kick-ass women often had to fight abuse to overcome to get so strong. And men just had it on a nice platter. Like, a lot of when was the last time you heard a man in power say, I got here because of all I went through in life?
Yep.
Like, I can't even think of one male person with tons of money or tons of power who ever uttered the words, I went through a lot and I overcame.
Yes.
Can you globally, Svava, like globally?
No, I can't say that I do, but I do think there men are starting to show up with a little more humility.
Oh,
And
you're so grace. You're so full of grace. I guess
well,
you're farther along than I am, Svava.
I have a little boy.
You're
I have a
farther
little boy.
along in your grace than I. I'm still like, when is that going to happen?
Yes, yes. Well, I have raised one, and that's the other thing. I know I leave
one?
this world. He's a good one. He's a goodie.
Oh, good.
And I know that I leave this
then
world.
AI will just clone his cells, and like genetic makeup and all his upbringing. How about we just start cloning these boys?
Yes. Well, he has
good ones.
3 moms. So he has 2 sisters. He's the youngest. So you can imagine. I sometimes had to raise my hand at the dinner table. Okay, so the mother at this table raised her hand because he would be mothering by 3,
I'm so wait. Wait, I need to clarify one thing from myself and our listeners. You were married, but you were raising him. You just kind of described a single mom table scenario.
No. There was of course
Your husband
my
was
husband
there?
was there, but I was just trying to tell my girls that I was the mom, that my son did not need to be mothered by them as well. But he's really in good shape because he's got sisters that breathe through his breath if he's not a good man.
Okay. Well, I hear you on that one.
Yes.
My goodness. Okay. So I just have a couple more because you are like, hear me roar, woman. Like, I feel so proud of you. Like, after just talking to you for half an hour, I'm so excited. Whatever, like, we need to like clone your healing process too. And I just, before we get to all the cool stuff you're doing now, another thing you told us was you're so grateful for support groups. And when you couldn't find one, you invented one, you created one.
Yes.
So let's talk about that. What was so helpful and empowering about a support group?
Well, like I said in the beginning, I found one and I literally sat in one for 5 years, and it took me 2 years before I started speaking. I just sat and listened, and I was petrified, and I probably dissociated most of the time when I was there in the beginning. But I slowly could look. I saw that people could say out loud what they had experienced and look other people in the eye, because my shame was so horrific that I felt really uncomfortable talking about what had happened to me, because it happened when I was so young. I didn't know what it was. And my stepfather was the more loving parent. So I would seek him out because I needed love and attention and affection. And yet at the same time, I tried to avoid him and get away from him as much as I could. It was an incredibly painful struggle for a little girl. And so sitting in those support groups saved my life. And so every time I moved and I was like, okay, where's the support group in this neighborhood or in this town? And if there wasn't one, I would go knock on the door of the crisis center. I'm like, okay, where's the support group if there isn't one? I'm like, okay, I've found, a way that it's not as hard anymore at that point to hold space for others. So I would usually just run the groups for the crisis centers. Like I did a couple of those in San Diego when I was there. We were in San Diego for 25 years.
Okay. Amazing. Another question I wanted to dig into is back to kind of like, how do you reconnect your body with intimacy? And I totally hear you. If we can barely stand it and we are like outwardly trying to, protect it, what's your top one or two thoughts on like how to reconnect with your body to make sure intimacy feels healthy and, I'll say, pleasurable and good?
Well, I hope this isn't TMI.
It's okay. I think we talk about everything.
Okay. All right. Yes. Well, I mean, I think because of, I'll get to the answer, but because of our mutual trauma, our most intimate part of our relationship was hard. And I often say, I think it took me 12 years to trust that he was there to stay. And he was very frustrated at times, like, Svava, we have 3 kids. I'm not going anywhere. And I often also say, well, like loving me was like loving a lion in a cage. Okay, I want you to come close, but if you come too close, I'll scratch your eyes out. So it was hard in both directions, frustration, all of that. We did our best to be kind and gentle with each other when we were, exploring being different in a sexual way with each other. But it was very hard to overcome in that marriage. Now I'm being very transparent and open with you. But what I wish I would have learned sooner, and this is why I'm such a huge advocate of learning any healing modality that includes your body and understanding the polyvagal theory and the need for safety, is that we need to feel safe in our bodies. And when our bodies are kind of the battleground, it was my job to learn to love me first and to help my body to feel safe in my own skin. And that took, when I finally found TRE, I mean, it was just online that I saw David Berselli, who developed TRE. I saw him lead a group on a video through this process where the body is kind of trembling, and it was so clear my body wanted to do this because I had been looking for years. I had PTSD. I was stuck in kind of a chronic loop of chronic migraines and just really defensive and argumentative, and just those protection patterns of being, perfect and defending myself at all costs was very hard in my marriage, in our relationship. But as I've found a way to unwind those tension patterns that were literally hardwired into the deepest core of my body from my birth, even, it took, many, many years to unravel and to recognize why I was reacting the way I was reacting, And that's also where my self-compassion practice came in pretty strong, because there was nothing wrong with me. There was never anything wrong with me. I wasn't bad or broken or stupid, because it was just my nervous system that literally just took over and pushed my prefrontal cortex offline. My social engagement system was non-existent. How to relate and connect to another human was incredibly painful, because I was, as much as I wanted it, I was also terrified of it. But through years of this body work, years of connecting and relating and caring for my body, because in it lives this beautiful little girl that I made a promise that she was never going to feel that she lived in hate and disgust anymore. I made peace with this body. And now that I'm single, I love being single. I love how I can take care of my own pleasure single. And I'm kind of in the exploration phase of like, okay, what else can we do? This is fun.
Nice, Bava. That's like fantastic. And I think that's also, please, you didn't explain too much. And I think that's one of the narratives that's out there is you need a partner to find pleasure. And I think you need to own and know your own body and feel comfortable with your own body. And
yes,
luckily, there are like more and more like interesting ways to like be pleasurable to oneself out there.
And I keep my girlfriends and I keep reminding them, if anybody watched Wonderwoman, and where she says that they had 12 volumes of how to pleasure a woman, how they can pleasure themselves on the island, they didn't need a man.
Yeah. Oh, that's a really, really well said. Well, let's go toward like, so now your kids are in the US, or are they in Iceland with you, or?
They are in the US now. When that's what I was about to say earlier. After I saw the Survivor on Oprah, I moved my family to Iceland. Then I was still married, and told my husband I wanted to go back to Iceland and start that nonprofit. And I said, give me 2 years. And of course, I was really hoping that he would fall in love with Iceland and want to stay. The kids were little, but after I saw that Survivor on Oprah, I was just like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do this? How am I going to do this? And I was flipping through a magazine one day, feeding my son, and I see an ad that has a picture of 4 little girls. And the headline said, one out of these 4 girls is being abused. Do you know which one? And I just kept flipping the magazine, and then I stopped, and I'm like, what? And then I went back and I looked at the pictures, because those were, could have been my girls. And I was stunned by what was there in this ad. And I looked up the organization who was running this ad, and it was Darkness to Light in South Carolina. And they had a booklet that I could download from their website for adults, and how to talk about child sexual abuse to keep kids safe. So it was exactly what I was looking for. So like 2 days later, I'm emailing or calling this woman, rather. I was like, we're friends today. We're still friends. And I called her and said, hey, can I translate this material into Iceland? I want to take it to Iceland and share it there. And she was like, yeah, sure, whatever. Gave me permission. And I said, okay, I want that in writing. And with that booklet, 7 Steps for Adults, how to talk to adults and children about child sexual abuse to prevent it. We moved to Iceland, and with that, we started a nonprofit in Iceland. And to make a long story short, we sent that booklet into every home in the country, because I wanted, maybe there's a child in that house who isn't having, or no adults is having that conversation. But if they find that booklet, they can maybe tell someone that this is what's happening to me. And I also wanted to empower the adults. I started getting phone calls from schools, from parent organizations. They're saying, you're telling us we need to talk about this. No one wants to talk about it. Can you come talk about it? And that was kind of how my public speaking career started. I just put together a PowerPoint and started traveling the country, talking about the statistics and how important it is for adults to understand the grooming and overwhelmingly, these are people we know and care and trust and love who are abusing us and our children. Basically, we have educated 15% of the population.
Wow.
So over 15 plus years.
That's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for continuing to take the journey on the Dear Survivor podcast. A quick note, we are 100% volunteer at the podcast and at Take Back the Night. Your donations, your generosity helps us do what we do on such a shoestring budget. And we would be so grateful if this show is helping you through your journey and you are passing it along to others you care about. Please visit the Take Back the Night website and donate and support our cause and our mission to end sexual violence and support survivors. Thank you. So maybe I think the only other things I mentioned, Svava, in your intro that people still might not fully understand, that what is exactly, I know you referenced David as the founder of the Tension and Trauma Release Exercise. What is exactly that, and where can someone learn more?
TRE is, it's a somatic healing method called, TRE, which stands for Tension Releasing Exercises. And was developed by David Briselli more than 30 years ago, kind of similar to when Peter Levine was developing his somatic experiencing. David was developing TRE. And I looked at both of those when I found somatic healing, when that was important to my healing. And I chose TRE because it was something that once I learned it, I could use it ongoing on my own. So it's taught like a self-help healing method. And so now I guide people through this process, and your body already knows how to do this. And this was so brilliant. The same way our body knows how to protect us and keep us safe and keep those hard memories at bay during trauma and tension, your body also knows how to release it. But most of us are so disconnected from our bodies that we have stopped doing this. We see this in animals. Anyone around dogs, we see dogs, they shake themselves a lot. Actually, most mammals do this when once the traumatic event is over, they will go into this shaking. And basically what this shaking is doing, it's releasing the tension that's generated in your body and to help you survive. If you went into fight or flight or even into freeze, there's a lot of stress hormones that are put into your nervous system to help you, become better equipped to handle the stress or the trauma, which is brilliant. We would be extinct without this capacity in our nervous system, in our biology. But by activating this today, I show you how to activate this tremor. We do it very, very safely. You can find videos where you can do this on your own, on YouTube and even on the TRE for All website. But I recommend that if you have trauma history, that you find a provider, because it's crucial that you go slow. It's crucial that you feel safe and grounded in the process. And so when people come my way, it's all about creating a safe container that you feel comfortable and understand what's going on. And the first few sessions, we kind of start the process and we stop and start. So we're collecting information about how your nervous system and how your body responds. And then from there, we build in how often and how long we are basically letting the body shake. But it isn't just about the shaking, which releases the tension and all the all the energy that I had pushed deep into my core was still stuck, and it stays stuck in our psoas muscle, which is deep in our core. And it's also called the soul muscle, which is very connected to our fight and flight part of our nervous system. That once I started releasing tension deep from my core, all of a sudden the need to argue, to fight went away. And here was a tool that I could let my body release all these physical symptoms without me needing to remember what had happened or why this movement was going through my body. So people are very shocked by how simple this is. And like I said, your body knows how to do this. I show people how to activate it, but insist that people go very slow and very safe. But it's very, very powerful. And anywhere from helping people with PTSD, even it helps people with, sleep issues, anxiety, mobility, injuries. So I see people anywhere from 20 to 80 and with all range of issues relating to their bodies.
Wow. Thanks, Svava. I think that's really helpful. And I know we're kind of nearing the end, but what other words of wisdom and advice would you like to share with our listeners?
I think what I started with is that today I started this journey because I wanted to write my own story, right? And I love Brené Brown's work. So I clung to her books for years because the shame and my need to be perfect is what kept me stuck. And my need to be perfect was hiding, my most authentic self. And the more I allowed myself to understand my story, to understand my body, to understand why I did what I did, that it helped to heal a lot of the shame. Because, like I said, there was nothing wrong with my body. There's nothing wrong with our bodies. Your body knows how to survive. It's just that it needs kindness, warmth, and compassion to heal. And it needs community, a safe place, safe people to heal and to restore. And as a result, even after my divorce, I discovered I'm an artist. So today, just a few years ago, I got in touch with a huge part of me. I paint almost every day now, and I didn't know that I was an artist until just recently. So my healing journey keeps bringing me more goodies, more things that, as a human, that I'm using to fulfill my life today, and that I continue to kind of pay forward and share with others. So I don't know, I can talk a lot about this, but.
No, I think it's beautiful. I think we can point our listeners in a direction to learn more about you and put that in the show notes. So, my goodness, you gave a ton. Just expanded our ways of thinking about healing. And thank you for the gift of sharing your story. And knowing you're helping more people. It's not a support group, but it kind of is. The podcast is a type of support group. So I cannot express more gratitude, but I'm delighted that I got to meet you myself, and I know we can keep going with the show notes. And I guess what's next for you? Like, what's next on your to-do list?
What's next on my to-do list is that I continue to live a very intentional, wholehearted life. And I'm very intentional because I work full-time now helping people befriending their bodies. And it's so incredibly rewarding. And I'm so incredibly grateful, thankful for the whole journey, because the things that were the hardest about my journey are now my strengths. So post-trauma growth is definitely what I talk a lot more about these days. And really help people to understand how brilliant and beautiful their bodies are. And we need to just to slow down. I mean, that's what I'm advocate for today. People are overworked, stressed out, traumatized, and in this world, it's hard. It's hard for all people. So if you can, with hand on your heart, this is my favorite tool. I'll leave you with that. Every day, many times a day, I put my own hand on my heart, on my chest, and I let myself feel that gentle touch and that warmth, and I send it inside into my heart and into my body and towards that little girl that lives inside there. And so living and meeting all the humans that I meet every single day, whether it's at the gas station, the grocery store, at a conference, I meet all people from that place because we never know their whole story. But as long as I'm here and in front of you, I'm going to do my best to make this world a better place and make you feel the respect and the kindness that I know all of us deserve and long for.
Svava, that was a beautiful way to end. Thank you for all the gifts you've given. And I just honor our Survivor listeners, supporters, to continue with us on this journey. Every episode hopefully will bring you a new way to think about your story and your journey. So, Svava, thank you. We will absolutely provide more links to all the things you're up to in our show notes. And for our listeners, please continue to tune in, follow us, share with more of your friends and family, more of your colleagues, more of your schoolmates, more of your classmates. Like everyone experiencing trauma in so many different ways can benefit from our journey. So thank you. And until the next episode, take good care. Thank you again, everybody, for joining another episode of the Dear Katie podcast. I hope very much you found today's episode helpful, empowering, and a way to take another step in that long journey toward healing and supporting those we care about, learning about sexual violence prevention, and also survivor support. For those of you who don't know, again, the Take Back the Night website has tons of great resources, books, self-care options, cool merch. If you're feeling like you need a wearable, we have great t-shirts. Of course, we would love it if you follow along on our free newsletter with news and events going on around the country and even around the globe. And finally, don't forget to like us and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. You'll find our entire community popping up here and there, and recaps of our podcast episodes as well. So together we shatter the silence, and together we end the violence. Take care.